Good day, everyone. This is Dr. Pauline Santiago, tasked to talk to you about social media and your practice. As a disclaimer, I am on social media both as myself and as Doc P. This is our outline today. Let me start with how our PAO social media policy came about. As a member of the PAO Council in the past, I was assigned to be the Ethics Committee Chair. We did have our own code of ethics as well as the PMA's code, but we soon realized there was no clear social media policy. Our code of ethics stressed dignity and nobility of our profession. Our implementing rules discussed patient solicitation. We also had implementing rules on how to communicate with the public. Rule 8 discussed conflicts of interest and commercial relationships. We had a code of professional conduct, and our PMA code of ethics then had articles that relates to our duties to our communities, and also a section on multimedia involvement and commercial endorsement. There was also the Health XPH Manifesto on social media and medical professionalism, to which the PAO was a signatory of. But in the end, there was still no clear social media policy. At this time, we resorted to fraternal corrections for all social media transgressions made by our misguided or unguided colleagues. Remember, there is a growing population of IMDs who grew up with no rules on social media. So clearly, we as a society needed some guidance. So an ad hoc committee on the social media policy creation was made. This was me, Dr. Carlos Naval, and Dr. Sherman Valero. We created a group to help us write our social media policy composed of both PAO and non-PAO members. The PAO members who were tapped were neither council nor ethics committee members, but they were nominated by the subspecialty societies, the training institutions, and their chapter societies. Our non-PAO members were nominated by the ad hoc committee and approved by the PAO council. We had 5 physicians, one of whom was a lawyer. We had an IT PhD doctor, a medical student who grew up with social media, a priest who was also a bioethicist, and a former medical student. We were also joined by an ICT director of UANP who was also a former medical student. And finally, a marketing and IT professional completed the cast. These were our PAO members who were in the panel. These are our non-IMDs who joined us in creating our policy. In essence, the policy tells us how we should behave on social media. This is summarized in the PAO policy on social media, which is in your members' handbook. Let us go through them in detail. We broke this down into several situations: posting about your practice, affiliation, and research, posting and commenting online, posting about grievance and complaints, connecting with patients, and tagging of doctors. On posting about practice affiliation and research, you can make your practice known, but make sure you adhere to existing code of ethics, the latest of which states that internet posting should only contain the name of the physician, the field of specialty, office hours, and or office or hospital affiliations. If you belong to an institution that will advertise services, exercise self-audit and prudence before reposting. If you are recruiting for clinical trials, as long as this was included in your approved protocol, you can post your recruitment poster. And if you appear in ads of your centers, review it so that it does not violate already existing code of ethics of both the PMA and the PAO. The picture shows the logo of a microscope unit. If you are connected to the company in any way, state it. This policy is related to declaring conflicts of interest. On posting and commenting online, in consideration of the higher level of professionalism expected of you as a physician, IMDs are exhorted not to engage in online discussion with individuals who post derogatory comments online. Take the discussion offline. Do not engage online. When you consult or crowdsource for opinion and management, Be careful with potential identifiers despite anonymization. In a conference where I was discussing strabismus following endoscopic sinus surgery, as soon as I said 55-year-old male farmer from Negros, the ENT specialists in the room knew exactly who I was talking about. You can post milestones. Many of our residents, our younger consultants do this and fond of this. But most importantly, let us be mindful of protecting our patient privacy. Now, it is recommended that you post work-related content on a separate professional page from your fun-related content. This is Dr. Mike, a famous social media MD who mixes business and pleasure in one page. This one, I think, was not given much thought and had a backlash. As a physician, you have to be careful what you endorse. I think there will be no physician now who will endorse cigarettes. And as ophthalmologists, we should be wary of endorsing eye-related products such as contact lenses, IOLs, eyeglasses, and eye drops. You can post educational videos, but should not engage in self-advertisement, self-promotion, and self-aggrandizement. This is a video by one of our colleagues who just showed us his technique. There's nothing wrong there. Then you have to declare conflicts of interests. You are allowed to report media content, but just as in your educational videos, be careful with self-advertisement, promotion, and aggrandizement. On airing grievance and complaints, the IMD should not use social media as a platform to complain about patients and their relatives. You should be reminded to respect the patient's right to autonomy. Also, you should refrain from using social media as a grievance platform for your complaints against government agencies and your hospital affiliations. The doctors are reminded of their duty to cooperate with the duly constituted authorities, and you are expected to know the proper channels. Okay. When you want to connect with patients, you are on your own, but it is your choice. When you are tagged by patients, there was no recommendation by the social media policy group. But be careful what you wish for. It may come to haunt you later in the years ahead of you. Okay, so how should we not behave on social media? These are some examples. If I hypothetically say I had my cataract procedure, I had my flax procedure done, and can now see better than I ever did, and I had this procedure done at the Doc P Eye Center. So come see me because I'm an ophthalmologist, so you can reach the same level of vision. So what is wrong with this post? There is solicitation, there is advertising, there is conflict of interest, and there is an endorsement of a procedure. Remember this picture? While it seemed okay to post this on your wall, can anybody see what is wrong with this? There were two people not wearing masks, and there's a third person who is not wearing the mask properly. If something happens to the patient, this post can actually get you in trouble. This is in a delivery room in a Guatemalan hospital. You had doctors having fun, taking pictures and videos with a cell phone, and I am almost certain there was no permission from the patient to post her in this unflattering position. This was while the patient was giving birth. This was not an ophthalmologist post, so just imagine what lubricant they are talking about. This is not an eye lubricant. So, and it was the physician who posted this patient-shaming thread. And worse, instead of fraternal correction, other MDs joined the fray. Okay, during the vaccination campaign, this video came out in Jimmy Kimmel. If indeed you were a physician, do not get caught in a video like this, where the patient was called names. Foul language was used, and you bragged about the number of years you had to study to have an MD degree. Some of us get too irked by Dr. Google or when patients come in with some knowledge from Google University. So exercise restraint. Be careful when reposting. If you shared a post, the original source will be shown. The one on your left was a reshared post. This was posted by iCare, posted about an hour ago, and with this text. If you copy or cut and paste like I did for this first part of the post, and this is all I did, it will look like I wrote the post. So that is wrong. You should quote, or the source should be acknowledged in the post. When you share, do some fact checking or don't share at all. Steven Spielberg is not dead. Okay, but social media has its uses. It's a very useful tool. So we have to harness social media's strengths. You can use it to educate, promote health advocacies. Some of us in the past use it to campaign for our president. You can use it to network with patients and other professionals, both here and abroad. You can use it as a subtle marketing tool. You can get practice management advice. You can use it to refer patients or consult about patients. You can use it to connect. You can use it for casual talk. You can establish friendships, create your digital imprint, and make your opinion on issues known. You can even use it to search for a job. Here is an example of a site that educates. Dr. Lads was an MD PhD student when he started this page. This is an example of his post. Some are borrowed, some are his own material, but he always tries and explains it in words that his readers can understand. This is the page of Dr. Iris Tan as the endocrine witch, or Doc Brew. She has used her site to educate about endocrine diseases such as thyroid diseases, diabetes, and also posts helpful tips for patients in a language that patients can better understand. When we consult about patients in open media, be wary of the sensitive health information being shared. When it is out there, it can be found. It is public regardless of your settings. And with due diligence, there is someone out there who can identify this patient. Dr. Don Dizon is loved by his followers for his pep talks and inspirational talks, but they also love him for his ties, his colorful ties. He puts up videos on cancer, cancer research, and some other health topics. The ophthalmologist who is very active on social media is Dr. Glaucom Flecken. I will be surprised if he's not a glaucoma specialist. He has posted about varied topics, not just ophthalmology. Here is an example of his tweet. Dr. Leslie posts daily doctor facts, posts about health education, anatomy, healthcare news, and advice. She also responds to users about patient-doctor communication, healthcare trends, and news. Dr. Kevin Ho is the leading physician voice on social media. He provides a space for healthcare workers and policy experts to share their insights and experiences. And he publishes articles on everything from physician suicide to electronic medical records and, of course, social media tips for physicians. Doc Brew also uses the platform Twitter for educating and for making her stand on certain issues known. You can use social media for your clinic announcements and appointments. Some use it for online consults, but consider more secure platforms. You can use it as a professional networking tool. This is the LinkedIn profile of Dr. David Hunter, where he posts his biodata and he posts some lectures and some more information about himself. Our own PAO has tried to harness also some strengths of the social media. We are on social media on Facebook as icare.pal. What do we do with PAO on social media? This is our public service page. So we post educational materials. No? So these are examples of our posts: how to safely wear colored contact lenses and smoking in your eyes. The Philippine Society of Pediatric Ophthalmology and Strabismus has both math and baby math helping us educate our patients. But our most famous post, perhaps, is our post on blue light filter in glasses. This was translated into Chinese and into Malay by our Malaysian colleagues. We have translated this to Bicol and Bisaya language. This is PAO's formal announcement page on social media for its IMDs. So these are our posts. These are our official announcements. And then this is, I think, supposed to be the more fun page for PAO doctors, but our cover page needs some work. But these are examples of posts in that page. So in summary, we all need to create a digital footprint. If a patient Googles you, what will they find? Too much of a footprint bothers patients too, but zero footprint is also glaring. Regardless of your privacy settings, remember always that social media is a free-for-all public space and someone is always watching you. And finally, let us conduct ourselves in a manner befitting a Filipino IMD, not just in face-to-face encounters, but perhaps even more importantly on social media. If we are not on these platforms as health professionals, then the conversation would be dominated by people who don't have the appropriate training. So we all have to be on social media, but let us all know how to behave on social media. Okay, thank you very much. And I will join you for the open forum.